Hi Yogis, Nin from Nin Yoga here. Today we have a special Spring Back to Life spring themed class. Now the first half of this practice is going to be one about strengthening and stretching, and we'll go at a slightly faster pace. The second part of the class will be a Yin style class. So this will be to emphasize and to work on stretching and our flexibility. Now, this spring themed class is designed so that you bring to mind the themes of spring. For those of you who did my winter solstice practice, which was all about slowing down, this one's all about getting energy up, increasing circulation, and for the yin part of it, it will be about bringing spring affirmations to our mind. So, with that said, let's begin. We're going to begin in extended child's pose. So bring the knees to the side of the mat and walk forward with your palms. Let your chest fall to the mat and bring your forehead down. Just taking 5 breaths here, making sure your toes touch. And set your intention for this class and think about what spring offers you. So it might be that you can start on a new project. You could reignite with an old friend. Or it might be just that you can go outside again and enjoy the beauty of nature after an excessive hibernation. And just always remind yourself, whatever it is, your intention, and whatever comes up to you throughout the class. Taking one final inhale, and then we're going to come into a tabletop pose. Bringing the knees together, keeping the hips above the knees, and just come up onto our arms. Now our first pose here is going to be thread the needle. So what I'd like you to do is to lift up the left arm and open the chest and look up towards your left palm. Inhale, opening up the heart, and then threading the left arm underneath the right armpit. So just move and shuffle here however you need to, always making sure that the hips are above the knees. And then just lift up, if it's available, your right leg. Just take a few breaths here. And then come back down to the mat with your right knee and come back up to tabletop pose. Just find your center, look down to your navel if that helps. And then we're going to take that to the other side. So lift up with your right arm, looking up, opening your chest, inhale, and then threading your right arm underneath your left. And just close your eyes, bring your ear to the mat. Find a comfortable position here so that you can stabilize yourself. And if you like, you might be able to again lift up, this time your left leg off the mat. And then bring the knee back down to the mat and come back up to tabletop pose. And from here, I'm going to take a few cat-cows. So inhale, arch the spine, bring the tailbone in, drop the head. Exhale, lift the chest up, lift the tailbone up, arch the spine. Inhale, tuck the tailbone in, arch the spine, let the head drop. And do that one last time. And come back to center. Now from here, we're going to tuck our toes under, bring our seat back up to downward facing dog. And just stretch out here. Bring the palms down to the mat, stretching out the calves, letting the head hang, pedaling out the feet. And
just stay here in your V shape, lifting your seat up to the mat, up to the ceiling however, and then walk forward with your palms into forward fold. Let the spine hang here, let the low back release. Just stay here for a few moments. If you need to bend your knees, that's absolutely fine. Find your center. And then what I'd like you to do is come round to the right hand side and grab hold of your right foot and just elongate the left leg, bending your right knee. Take it over to the other side. Bend your left knee, stretch your right leg. And again, over to the right hand side, straighten your left leg. And the other side, bending your left knee. Back to center, coming up slowly, vertebra by vertebra. Keeping your knees bent here, bringing your tailbone in, engaging your pelvis and abdomen. We're going to take a chair pose. So lifting your palms up in front of you, bringing the pinky fingers in, and just rock back, lifting your toes up onto your heels, and take a chair pose. What I'd like you to do is also then bring your hands towards your heart. And from here, I'd like you to twist to your right hand side and bring your left elbow towards your right knee, lifting your palms towards your heart. And just check in that your left knee is not popping out too much. Just make sure you get the full twist that you need here. Beautiful. Come back to center, taking a chair pose again. Bringing your hands to your heart and then coming around with your right elbow to your left thigh and twisting. Check in that your right knee is not popping forward and bringing your hands towards your heart, looking over your left shoulder. Great. Coming back down into forward fold. We'll take an inhale, forward fold, then into halfway fold, straighten out the back, straighten, stretch out the calves like you've got a tray of drinks on your back. Exhale, back down to the mat. Step back into plank pose, bringing your butt down to the mat. Just keep yourself straight, engage the navel, bending the elbows, take a vinyasa, untuck the toes, chest down to the mat, and then we'll come up into a downward facing dog, tucking the toes under, back into child's pose, stretch out through the armpits, downward facing dog, pedaling it out with your ankles and your heels. Find your center, let the blood come to your head and detoxify you. And now we're going to lift up our left leg into a three-legged dog, and from here we're just going to bend our left foot over towards our right butt cheek and really stretch the glute there, opening up the hips. Then back to center, and what I'd like you to do is lower down your knees to your chest, one, and then up into three-legged dog again. We're going to take another two of those. Inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale. Beautiful. Now from here, what I'd like you to do is step forward with your left foot, and we'll take a high lunge. So here, just lifting up slightly, making sure that your knee is at a 90-degree angle, lifting up with your hands. And just making sure that your right foot supports you by twizzling out maybe to the right. Press down through the hips, bring your hands to your heart, and then come round with your right elbow to your left knee and bring your palms to the center of your chest, looking up towards the left hand side. Inhale, exhale, bring the palms back down to the mat, either side of your left foot, bend your right knee, untuck the right toes, and then we're going to take an easy twist, lifting your left arm off the mat, looking up towards your left palm. Exhale, bringing the palm down either side of your left foot. Just make sure you're supported here. Then bring your left knee back to meet the right. and take a downward facing dog. Stretch out through your heels, bring your sternum towards your thighs, pressing in, and then take a vinyasa into plank pose. Bend your elbows, hover here slightly, back down into cobra. Now, what I want you to do here is to stretch out, engage the thighs into the ground, pressing them down, stretching your ears away from your shoulders. And then bend your elbows and we'll come into a baby cobra. So here, I want you to zip up your body. Inhale from here and just hover your hands off the mat. Exhale back down to the mat. Inhale again, take 2 more of those. Exhale. Finally, just peel yourself off the mat one more time. Exhale back down to the mat. Tucking the toes under. Back into child's pose. Back into a downward facing dog. And this time, in your downward facing dog, I want you to lift up your right foot off the mat into a 3-legged dog. And then what I'd like you to do is bring your right knee into your chest and then out, opening up your hips, out. And then what I'd like you to do is bend your right knee and open up your hips, stretching the left glute here. And then bring your right foot forward between the palms of your hands and coming up into a high lunge. So here, just bending your knees at a 90-degree angle. Lift your palms up to the sky, press down through your hips, bring your hands to your heart, and then twist, bringing your left elbow towards your right thigh, and try and keep your palms in the center of you. It's okay if you wobble here, it's quite normal, it's quite a strong stretch this. Exhale, bring your palms down to the mat, bend your left knee, untuck the toes, and we'll take an easy twist, lifting up with your right hand, looking up to the sky. Inhale through the chest. Exhale, bring your palms down beside your right foot and back into tabletop, tucking the toes under, into child's pose, downward facing dog. And then from here, take a vinyasa, coming forward into plank pose, tucking your bum down, bending your elbows, back down onto the mat, and then push up, only slightly into a baby cobra. And then what I'd like you to do is lift the palms off the mat, exhale back down onto the mat. Inhale, exhale one last time. Inhale, exhale, beautiful. Tucking the toes under, take a downward facing dog, back into child's pose. Lifting up into downward facing dog, bringing your chest towards your thighs. Now from here, what I'd like you to do is lift up your left leg again into a 3-legged dog. Stretch out, point the toes, and then bring your knee down and tap it on the mat. Exhale, leg up to the sky. Inhale, bring your knee down and tap it on the mat. Inhale one last time. Exhale, bring your knee down to the mat. And then back into a 3-legged dog. And from here, I'd like you to take your left foot in between your palms, lower down your right knee, and we'll take a low lunge here. So check in with your knee. Is it stacked above your ankle? Bringing your palms together. And then bringing your right elbow towards or over your left knee and bring your palms to the center of your chest and try to look out towards the left. Now twists are great for detoxification and really helpful if you want to get the system moving again after excessive hibernation. Exhale, bring the palms beside the left foot, push back, folding at your hips, lifting the left foot off the mat, bringing your head towards your left knee into a half split. Bringing your left foot down to the mat, bending your left knee, and then we're going to try a pose called mermaid pose. So here I'd like you just to bend or lift your right leg off the mat. Just stay here, and this might be enough for you, but if you like, bring your left arm around to meet your right foot and just stretch through your quad, and this is called mermaid pose. Down through the hips. Try and stretch out. Release the right foot and just find your center with your palms, and then we're going to step back into a downward facing dog before we take Vinyasa. So just find your center here in down dog. Stretch out through those calves. Come forward into plank. Dip down onto the mat. Zip your body up. And then come up into baby cobra, and then lift our palms up off the mat for 1, 2, and 3. And then placing our palms down on the mat, tucking the toes under, taking our seat back towards our heels, coming into a downward facing dog. Just find your center here. And now we're going to lift up our right leg off the mat, and we're going to bring our right knee down to the mat and tap. Exhale, bringing our right leg up, then bringing our right knee down, tap. One last time. Bring our right knee down, tap. Three-legged dog. Bring now our right foot between our palms. Untuck the left foot into a low lunge, and slowly bring your torso up so that you're in an upright position. Bring your palms together in Anjali Mudra, and then bringing your left elbow to your right knee and push in towards it, bringing your hands towards your heart, looking over towards the right. Press down through the hips. Try and make sure that your knee is stacked above your ankle. Exhale, bringing the palms down beside your right foot, and straighten up your right leg into half split. Bring your forehead towards your right knee, and if you can, flex your right foot. Bringing your right foot down to the mat, bending your right knee. And now we're going to take a pose we call mermaid pose. So again, lifting up your left leg off the mat, and that might be enough for you. But if you want to take the full version of this pose, bring your right hand round to meet your left foot and stretch, and feel that stretch in your left quad. Letting go gently and with control of your left foot. And then we're going to come back into tabletop before we take a downward facing dog, tucking the toes under, seat back to our heels, lifting up into a down dog, pressing down through the palms into our V shape, lifting our seat up, pressing our chest towards our thighs, pedaling it out, and take a Vinyasa, coming forward with your chest up in a plank pose, then bending your elbows, untuck the toes, chest, chin and forehead, up into baby cobra again, lifting your palms off the mat, exhale down, palms off the mat, exhale down, palms off the mat, exhale down. And now we're going to take a child's pose. Just coming back to your intention and visualizing
maybe a new project you can take up. Maybe that you'll reacquaint yourself with a friend, or maybe that you can just go outside for the first time in a long time. Come back to your intention, remembering that nature is coming alive and that we're facing new energy outside. Take an inhale and come back into tabletop pose, tucking the toes under, into downward facing dog. Stretch out through the calves, lifting up with your left foot. And now we'll bring our left foot forward in between our palms. Now here, I want you just to pivot your right foot round so that you can support yourself as we come into a warrior two pose. So here, make sure that your right knee is bent and it's stacked above your ankle. Press down through your hips, find your support, then cartwheel your palms around. And here, just bring your shoulder blades back. And here, bring your arms parallel with the mat, elongating your spine. Just check that you're in line, so if you need to, bring the arch of your left foot in line with the heel of your right foot. Warrior two. We'll take a reverse warrior. We put the left palm up towards the ceiling, and then we bring the right arm down to meet the right leg and take a reverse warrior. Stretch, looking up towards our left palm. Inhale here. And then we'll come back into a warrior two. And we'll straighten up the left leg, and we're going to take a triangle pose. So here, just bringing again your shoulders back, and you might just want to scoot over your hips towards the right, and then begin to bend and cartwheel your arms, bringing your left arm towards your left shin, opening up your chest, and look up towards your right hand. And then if you like, you might be able to come a bit further down onto the mat with your left palm on the mat. Trikonasana, triangle pose, but in line with the heel of your right foot. Warrior two. We'll take a reverse warrior. We put the left palm up towards the ceiling, and then we bring the right arm down to meet the right leg and take a reverse warrior. Stretch, looking up towards our left palm. Inhale here, and then we'll come back into a warrior two, and we'll straighten up the left leg, and we're going to take a triangle pose. So here, just bringing again your shoulders back, and you might just want to scoot over your hips towards the right, and then begin to bend and cartwheel your arms, bringing your left arm towards your left shin, opening up your chest, and look up towards your right hand. And then if you like, you might be able to come a bit further down onto the mat with your left palm on the mat. Trikonasana, triangle pose. Inhale, coming back up to center. And now what we're going to do is take that to the other side. Now I'm just going to turn around and face you guys because it will help a bit. But what I'd like you to do is come round with your legs to the center and straighten up your legs like this. And then I'd like you to twizzle out with your right foot, bending your right knee, and then checking in with the alignment here. Checking that your right knee is above your ankle, and just make sure that you're happy with how you're standing. Bringing the shoulder blades together, bringing the palms off the mat, elongating the spine, bringing the abdomen in, engaging it. Warrior two. Then turn your right palm up to the sky and begin to bring your right palm reaching it up and bring your left arm down towards your left leg, looking up. Reverse warrior. Inhale here, and then come back down into warrior two, and then straighten up your right leg. Bring your hips over towards the left, just slightly, and bring your chest towards the front of the mat. And now reach down with your right hand to your right shin, opening up your shoulders here. Try not to drop forward, opening up and look up towards your left palm, which should be more or less pointing upwards. And if you like, you might be able to bring your palm right down onto the mat, but only if you can. No pressure here, you're exactly where your body needs to be. And then coming up back into our warrior two pose. Briefly here, before we cartwheel our palms down and step back into downward facing dog. Take a three-legged dog with our right leg up to the sky and come back down into downward facing dog and take a Vinyasa flow. Inhale back up to cobra, tucking the toes under, downward facing dog. You've got this. Sternum towards your thighs, V shape here, stretch through your lower back, then walk forward to the front of your mat. And here we're going to take some balancing poses. So for this section, what I would like you to do is stand at the front of your mat. Now the first version of this we're going to do is just make sure we're rooting through our left foot, all through our left side of our body. And then what we're going to do is bring up our right knee towards our chest. Now if you wobble here, it's absolutely fine. Just find your center. Now this might be enough. If you like, you might be able to bring your right leg out to the side, opening up your hips a bit further, trying to keep hold of your knee, and then bringing your left palm, up, opening up your chest. And then take an inhale, come back to center. What I'd like you to do now is cross your right foot over your left knee, palms together, and we'll take a standing pigeon pose. So you should feel a nice stretch through your right thigh. Keeping your back straight, flex your right foot. And then letting go, bring the palms down beside you, uncrossing the feet. And we'll take that immediately onto the other side. So what I'd like you to do is now to bring your left knee up towards your chest and do that exact same thing on the other side. So if you wobble on one side over the other, that's totally normal. Maybe you might need a wall here, or maybe you won't. And then, as we did before, if you can, bring your left knee out towards the side. And maybe if you've got space, I do not have space here, so I'm just gonna helpfully lean against the wall, opening up my left hip. Inhale, bringing it back to center, putting my left foot over my right knee, palms together, and bending the right knee, we come into a standing pigeon pose. Flex your left foot if you can. Focus on one little area in front of you. Inhale one last time, bringing the palms out beside you and uncrossing the feet, and just stand here in mountain pose, stretching through our spine, bending down into forward fold, lifting up halfway, exhale down to the mat, step back into plank pose, lowering down, hovering here for a second, take a Vinyasa back, belly on the floor, chin, chest, not in that order, whatever order you like, coming up into cobra, tucking the toes under, seat back towards the heels, downward facing dog.
So rest here momentarily. And then I'd like you to bring your right foot in between your palms and come into a pose called pyramid pose. So make sure both your feet are facing towards the front of the mat. Feel stretch through your right hamstring, and then bringing your hands towards your hips. And from here, we're going to take a revolved triangle pose. So what I'd like you to do, if you can, this might be enough, but another option to take it a bit further is to put your left palm on the mat and open up your right arm and look up towards the sky. Try to keep your legs straight and your shoulders open. Inhale. Exhale, bringing the palms down to your mat. And from here, we will bend the right knee, twizzle round our left foot, and come into a warrior one. So lifting up with your torso, pinky fingers coming towards each other, palms parallel. Just check your knee is stacked above your hip, press down through your thighs. Exhale, come down to the mat, step back into plank and take a vinyasa. Back into child's pose and then into a downward facing dog. Now from here, just take a breath, find your center, and then come into a pyramid pose, bringing your left foot in between your palms and have both your feet facing towards the mat. The wider you are, the harder the stretch will be, so find what's comfortable for you. Remembering you're exactly where your body needs to be right now. Don't push it too much. Be patient with your body. Bring your hands to your hips and just stretch here, feeling that nice stretch. Now this might be enough for you. If you want a little bit more, bring your right arm down to the mat, opening up your chest to the side. Now here, you can choose in this pose whether to take a block perhaps, and when you put your palm down onto the mat, just put your hand on there, resting it there and opening up towards the side. So you have support. You might need to bring your block up, keeping your legs in that straight pyramid pose. If not, you might just want to release the block. Look up towards your left arm, bringing your palms down beside your left foot. Pivot out with your right foot. Bend your left knee so that your knee's stacked above your ankle and come into a warrior one pose. Bringing your shoulders away from your ears. Just stay here for a second. Bring your palms down to the mat and take a downward dog. And take a flow from here. So forward into plank pose. Hover here for a second, then come down into a cobra pose. Tucking the toes under. We'll come back into a tabletop pose here. Now this next pose will be one of the last of our vinyasa sequence. And what I want you to do is bring your right leg off the mat. And this is a pose we call tiger pose. So this might be enough, but if you like, bring your left hand around to meet, just check you're stabilized. Meet your right foot and push up if you can with your hips looking out in front of you. Tiger pose. Inhale, come back into tabletop. And then what I'd like you to do is take that onto the other side. So lift up this time with your left leg. And make sure that your palms can support you. And then bring your right arm to meet your left leg, left foot, left ankle, and then try and push up in this pose, tiger pose, opening up your chest. Inhale, exhale. And to counter this deep back stretch, we'll take a cat pose. So arching your spine, letting your head drop to the mat. Tucking your tailbone in. And from here, we shall go into our first yin position, extended child's pose. So what I'd like you to do is to open your knees to the side of the mat. Walking forward with your hands and bringing your forehead down to the mat. Now in these poses, we're going to stay like this for a couple more minutes. For longer, to work on our strength and flexibility. And the first affirmation that we're going to say in this yin side of this practice is, I am in constant bloom. I am refreshed, rejuvenated, and reborn. I am in constant bloom. I am refreshed, rejuvenated, and reborn. I am in constant bloom. I am refreshed, rejuvenated, and reborn. And from here, come back up into tabletop pose. And what I'd like you to do is we're going to take up first of our yin postures, our deep one, and this is called a swan pose or pigeon pose. Don't know why their name's different, but they are. So bring here your right knee towards your right wrist, and then try to bring your right foot towards your left wrist. Now you might need to help it there, and open your hips, and this is such a really good deep hip opener. Now if you need to, please put a block under your right hip to support yourself here. Now this might be enough, so just make sure you're opening your chest and pushing down, and ideally, but not everyone's hips are as open as others, your shin should be horizontal with the short end of your mat. But if you like, maybe you can come down onto your forearms and let your head kiss the mat. And for this affirmation that reminds us of spring, the affirmation will be, with passion and joy, I am embracing all of life's miracles. With passion and joy, I am embracing all of life's miracles. And we'll stay here for a few more minutes. This deep hip opening stretch. With passion and joy, I am embracing all of life's miracles. almost there. We're just going to take another couple of breaths. Inhale here. And come back up, if you're not already, onto your palms. And then what I like to do is take the block from underneath your right hip, if it's there, and then just rock over to your right hand side, onto your right hip, and then swizzle your left leg around to the front of the mat and bring your right foot towards your left hip underneath it. And then bring your left foot towards your right hip. So it's on top of it. And your knees should be stacked on top of each other ideally. And maybe here holding on to your feet to make sure that they don't come forward, and stretch through the spine in an upright position. And this is a really good stretch. You'll particularly feel a stretch here. If you want to take it a bit further, I suggest you get a bolster, a cushion in front of you, or you may just be able to walk down with your palms towards your left knee and rest here in a pose that we call shoelace pose. And the affirmation for this pose is I love life and life loves me. I love life and life loves me. Walk it out a bit further with your hands, or if you're feeling uncomfortable, just come up into an upright position. I love life and life loves me. And then begin to walk your palms up into a seated upright position. Uncross the legs and just have them out in front of you, just doing a windshield move from side to side with your feet, just to counter that pose and the deep stretch you'll have got. Do whatever feels best and intuitive at the moment, just to make sure that you're stretched back out. And then we're going to come back into tabletop pose and go on to the other side. So from here, what I'd like you to do is bring your left knee out towards your left wrist, and then bring your left foot towards your right wrist. And then ideally, as I said before, your shin should be horizontal with the short end of your mat, but you might find on this side you're completely different to how you were on the other side. And we'll take here our pigeon pose. Now again, feel free to make adjustments. This might be enough. You might need a block underneath your left hip, and you might even be able to come down onto your forearms and kiss the mat. And just relax here. Now, because this is a spring yin practice and a spring yoga practice, the affirmation we're going to have now is I am abundant and open to new opportunities. The possibilities are limitless. I am abundant and open to new opportunities. The possibilities are limitless. Inhale deep down into your hip. I am abundant and open to new opportunities. The possibilities are limitless. Taking a few more breaths here. And then, if you're not already, coming up onto your palms. Inhale, remove a block if you had that there to assist you. And then rock over towards your left hip and swivel around your right leg in front of you. So keeping here, your left foot coming towards your right hip and bringing your right knee over your left and bring your right foot towards your left hip. And ideally you should have the knees stacked on top of each other. Hold your feet if you need to, give them a little massage if you feel like that's in your practice. And then just sit up straight, taking a shoelace on the other side. And if you like, use a bolster and come slightly forward. Or you might be able to walk forward and sink your forehead down towards your knee. Now when I do these options, it's not as though they're from least best to best. It's just I'm offering you opportunities and alternatives for your journey, which is all that you really need to worry about. We're all different and we all have different anatomical capabilities. You're exactly where your body needs to be today. And the affirmation for this pose is I release that which is not serving me to make space for something better. I release that which is not serving me to make space for something better. I release that which is not serving me to make space for something better. Take a last inhale here, walking up into an upright position. Just let the blood come to your head slowly, then putting your palms behind you, uncross the legs and just let them sway from side to side. You should feel a deep stretch down your left calf there. Just doing whatever's intuitive to you right now. And now we're just going to bend our knees, putting the soles of our feet down onto the mat and roll down back onto our mat. Bring the soles of our feet together and let our knees drop out towards the side. Please feel free to put any blocks underneath your knees if you need to. And here we're going to come into a reclined butterfly pose. So here, feel free to stretch your arms above your head, or maybe just cross your elbows, cross your arms. And our final affirmation is I am a magnet for love, happiness and sunshine. I am a magnet for love, happiness and sunshine. Feel your pelvis opening and sink into the mat. I am a magnet for love, happiness and sunshine. Feel free to bring the soles of your feet closer towards your pelvis. But if not, just stay where you are. And opening up your pelvis and hips. Inhale, exhale, uncross your arms if they're crossed above your head, bring them palms down beside you. Bring your knees back up to center, back together, and give yourself a hug with your knees, or hug your knees. And then bring your soles of your feet back down to the mat and cross your right leg over your left. And maybe scoot your hips over slightly towards the right, and then let your knees fall towards the left and look over your right shoulder. And bring your arms up into a cactus position. Inhale, bring the knees back up to center, uncross the legs, scoot your hips back to the middle, then cross the left leg over the right. Scoot your hips over to the left and let your knees drop towards the right. And look over your left shoulder. Feeling a deep twist on your left hand side. Inhale, come back to center with your knees. And now we're going to take our final Savasana resting pose. So bring your legs out and collapse your feet out to the side. Bring your palms down beside you and open them up to the ceiling. And just take an inhale here, breathe into your body. Notice how you might feel now compared to how you felt when you started. And hopefully you feel energized and in sync with the season. Full of ideas of things you can do now that you're coming out of a form of hibernation. Just visualizing what spring is. Visualize yourself in a garden, inhaling the pollen and hearing the birds chirp. Maybe the insects and the bees beginning to move and come back to life. Maybe you picture some daffodils, some tulips, some hyacinths and the smells that they bring. And you look up to the sky and you see blue sky with some clouds and the sun shining lightly on you. And you feel the warmth for the first time in a long time. And think of all those things you can now start doing again. Inhale this optimism and energy throughout your whole body into your heart, releasing the heart chakra. which is responsible for empathy, love, and kindness. Exhale. Empathy and love for nature and for yourself. And just sink further down into the mat, letting the legs and the hands feel heavy. Taking a final inhale here, begin to wiggle your feet and your hands, then your legs and your arms, bringing your knees and soles of your feet back to the mat, bending your knees over towards the left or right hand side and come into a fetal position. Pushing up with your right or left hand. We'll come into a cross-legged pose. Bring the shoulder blades together, lifting up our chest, opening our heart, and slowly opening our eyes. Taking an inhale, bringing the palms together, welcoming spring, bringing our thumb to our forehead, and we bow and say Namaste. Namaste.
Thank you so much for attending that class with me today, Spring Back to Life. I really hope you feel more energized and full of abundance and possibility for this season. If you like what you saw, please feel free to check out my other videos. I offer a range of Vinyasa flows, Yin flows, and even chair yoga. If you made it to the end, please also end your comment if you want to leave one in the boxes below with hashtag SpringBackToLife. I'd really like to hear how you got on with this practice, how you feel afterwards, and if you indeed feel rejuvenated. I hope to see you again on the mat soon. Namaste, yogis.